watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. Take me, the highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back everyone to the LCK. My name is Joe and helping you guys with the Dangun and Bitto session as they cover what happened in that game one. Kind of recap as to Hanwha Life looking stronger than their opponents in that first round, and we'll see how MVP did get dismantled, at what point of the game, and how that all led to an eventual Hanwha Life victory for that game one, and how it will continue through game two will be another speculation we'll be keeping our eyes on. But for the meantime, let's look at the macro plays, some of the things that really led Hanwha Life to confidence that they were gonna indeed pick up that game one victory. But there's a very much an offensive move that Hanwha Life really tried to initiate, and it did work out in some phases of that game, and effective enough for them to really pick up the win. We'll see how it all went about. We'll get a couple of highlights, obviously, to see evidential in terms of how Hanwha Life actually did it. And basically just a sideways domination that Hanwha Life already had. You see the vision advantage, you see basically all the champions roaming around freely, knowing they've already dominated that bottom river, really disallowing MVP, even Yondu, to even take away some of his jungle camp with so much worry in hand. This really goes to show that someone has already made himself in this position that really nothing allowing for MVP to go in aggressively, even in their own turf. And this was basically being bothered and being bullied by the Camille from Linderang, and you saw now the ultimate coming from the Rise and the Skarner coming in all at the same time, and just a four-man dive means that that was going to be a death Cho'Gath in the way, and allow for the first big death even after that first tower was pushed, meaning the top lane for ADD became a tougher proposition for him to just carry on, trying to make a comeback play for MVP. Came a lot tougher as each moment went on, and we thought that Hanwha Life would get a very nice victory right off of that one, but it took a couple of tries, especially around the Baron pit. That became the most important thing for MVP to feel like they really were going to be defeated in that first game. We do have another highlight that we need to show. Really just a lot of investment into this next play that we're about to show you. And let's look at it here. This was basically just a... so this is how it all happened. So a hidden secret is that the flash did go through for that Skarner to get into that range of that Rise ultimate. So whatever it takes to get a kill onto the Cho'Gath, flash into that Rise ultimate was kind of the hidden bonus that we sometimes didn't really notice, but was definitely there for us to see. So really, Hanwha Life really determined to get that kill and to get the victory. Was going to be them pulling off with a very deserved one for game one, and we'll see what the fans had to say. Looking like Baron has been all about kind of talking about the macro plays that was around it, and obviously really a lot of acting and a lot of fakes that kind of got the things for Hanwha Life. And let's look at the one-line summary from Bitto, and putting a lot of emphasis on the coaching staff and about their strategizing and how they beat out. Hana, are they acting? So are they supposed to be playing League of Legends or are they supposed to be acting? That's a different question we're going to be throwing out there. And Bito, I don't have the right answer for you, but maybe our two experts at the desk, at the English desk, maybe they have some input as to Hana Life. Are they actors? Are they League of Legends players? We're going to bring it back down to you.
I have no idea, Joel. Absolutely no idea. Do you reckon they're actors, Pups, maybe?
I sometimes wonder, because sometimes we see Songwon, and it looks like he's role-playing a jungler. He's sitting in the bush. He's like,
Yep.
I'm just over here, having a lovely time, not moving. Believer Buster threatens me, but I'm sticking around. I am a big, strong boy. And sometimes he's not. But as you notice, 7 times this season he has been. And Lava and Songwon combining for 1,600 points off their team's celebrations. Very, very good game number 1 here from Hanwha Life. I thought they played excellently. Well-deserved victory. And although AD got the first gank, the second one is what decided the top lane.
And this is also his first game on Skarner so far this season as well, which is interesting news given the fact that it was such a predominant pick for him in the spring season. Bring it back, and you can see exactly why it's great for Hanwha Life, because if they can get turrets
Flash.
early, things feel good. Yeah, let's see how much he actually does here against ADD on the top side, because I know he didn't use Impale. He just walked up and got a couple of autos.
Remember, it was as the minion wave is coming in, so the timing of the Realm Warp was great, the flash to get in. If he had missed it, would have been legendary. Sadly did not. But
They
they
still
got the
would have
Baron.
probably got the kill, as this was a very creative
Nice creative
dude.
Baron. I think,
Yeah.
look, honestly, I think Songwon is deserving of the MVP here. His good games are some of the best jungle games we get in Korea. He's so different to some of our other junglers. Like, a lot of them have a reliability streak that I think Songwon is kind of Peanut-esque in. His highs can be very, very high. Peanut in his best will be able to be more reliable, but Songwon, he just has performances that beggar belief in the good way and the bad way.
And also, you know, when a meta gets to a stability that the LCK players get comfortable with, you need a player like someone that mixes it up almost every single time he's on the Rift to really impact how the players play the game. We are going to move back into Champion Select here for Game 2. MVP now is some more flexibility moving into the draft. We'll see what they're going to target, as Rye is going to be taken away from Lava. Not necessarily the greatest win rate so far here in the LCK for Lava on the rise, but is his second most played.
And they were successful in game number 1 with a rotational focus comp, so makes sense to ban away the Rise, even though blind Rise picks is something I'm still not really jiving with where the meta is at on patch 8.14. We'll roll along, though. The Aatrox Talia are the permabans on the red side right now. You get a situational ban, so it's better than a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, that's very true. As Talia needs to be banned against Yondu as well. His Talia has been beautiful, even in games that he hasn't necessarily won. Is Rakan going to be the second ban here from Hanwha Life?
Talia Chicken doesn't often work, so we'll see if Hanwha Life is actually able to enact it. My thought is probably no.
Yeah.
They're gonna try.
Okay, it's going to be taken away. Is Hanwha Life now going to find the Talia button, most likely. But what will this leave available for MVP to grab for that first pick? Orianna standing out. Remember, Tom Kench and Galio were banned by Hanwha Life in our first match.
So Songwon not at the coach. I guess he was being asked, hey, do we have to ban the Talia? Yondu's already shown some good games on it, so might as well just keep it simple. They'll give up the Trundle, but a lot of different tank junglers available here. If someone wants to opt into them.
Yeah, MVP not giving away too much there, as Hanwha can go towards Tom Kench, Ezreal if they want to.
Tom Kench, Sejuani, Tom Kench, Ezreal. You don't
Yeah.
need to take the Sejuani here, but if you take the Sejuani here, then you can actually blind pick a solo laner at Lava's pick and double ban against it. You have a lot of options here, but Tom Kench will certainly be picked up by Hanwha Life. It is now a first pick, first round champion for basically every team, not just the teams that use it as a crutch. I'm looking at you, Katie Rolster, in our second series of the day. Hanwha Life, what are you comboing it with? If you want Ezreal, you probably need to take it now.
I feel like Hanwha Life, and Ezreal seems almost too easy, as you can see Sangyun on your screen right now, considering whether or not he wants to play it. 5 seconds to go, they'll have to make up their minds. But like you say, Sejuani an option, Skarner also an option. It is going to be picked up here as someone going back to a very similar playstyle to game number 1. Certainly worked out there, so you can't really fault him for it, as MVP now to round out their first round of picks.
Dropping their Ezreal priority, at least for the first round. See how MVP reacts, see what they want to do, because, you know, again, we were praising their draft in game number 1, it just didn't get off the ground.
Yeah.
Could look for a bit more early priority in some of their lanes. That's one of the ways you can combat the game, kind of been taken away from you, ripped out of your hands before you're even ready to fully commit, like game 1 was for MVP. So far, haven't really shown us anything. We know their support, we know their jungler. What's their first carry going to be? Well, they continue to show us nothing. Will be the Ezreal. We mentioned if Hanwha wanted it, they would have to take it at the Song1 pick. They don't. They give up Ezreal.
Yep, Ezreal going to be picked up, but Hanwha can go to a lot of different options here to pair up with the Tahm Kench, and this is the Teddy special that we saw on the bottom side, picked into the Ezreal as well, and finally worked for them.
It's a bit win lane, win game, though, because there's already a Braum next to him who is pretty good against Jhin, and then Trundle will be pretty unkillable. ADD will probably play Cho'Gath or a similar tank, and already Jhin is win lane or do no damage potential. So we'll see if that ends up being too risky, but Songyun jumping on an old pick that he used to love in the Jhin.
Hanwha going to be banning away the LeBlanc first up, so probably looking to pick up Orianna. And the first sign after this ban phase is over, MVP will see whether they catch on to that and just ban that one away. Will mean another thing that they can't ban, as the Orianna is, of course, going to be taken here.
See where Lava wants to visit this time. Corki and Azir are available, and they're the blind picks. So back to the spring 8.1 meta when it comes to mid laners.
I'd like to see Lindaron go for, you know, a blind pick top laner like the Jace or the Gnar, and then threaten the Zoe pick coming in from Ian because everyone loves Ezreal Zoe, and then I want Lava to play Echo into it like he did many moons ago.
BDD and Lava, both great mid lane Echo players, but just because it's a melee champion with some risk, it feels like the 1-3-1 power of the mid lane Echo has gone away.
Well, speaking of going away, the Zoe also going to be taken off the board, so another option there is two picks that are pretty good into the Zoe were banned there by Hanwha Life, so I could understand it.
Jace would be the strongest tier pick here, but not everyone is a Jace top lane player these days. The Gnar, of course, we know about, but they're going to blind Azir for Lava. Interesting. Okay, we did see a lot of attention towards the Azir in game number 1. It's actually going to be picked up here, so it was hovered, not actually selected. Now we see it selected. Fun pick to see, and well, we just see a Corki from Ian as a response. It is a very old pick for him.
Yeah, the Syndra also kind of works into the Azir as well. You just kill him, as the Xerath would be the old school pickup, the BDD special.
He's the only one to play Azir this year, and we do see another game. So he plays Xerath this year, and we do see the Xerath into Azir. We saw Casey Rolster play the mid lane Varus. The safer and more reliable choice is this Xerath. So
yeah.
Wait and see how that looks. If you open up with the curtain call, you might get a lot of those arcane shots in your face from the Xerath.
Exactly. Both the Jhin and the Xerath doing pretty similar things. One flies along the ground, the other one shoots down from the sky, but it is still a pretty similar ultimate.
And
Vladimir being looked at now, okay.
He's played this matchup in the past. Again, the Ignite Unsealed Spellbook is less common, so the matchup isn't quite as strong in lane. And Vladimir will be diving in with just a Skarner for help, but we will see it anyway on the side of Hanwha Life. Good news for Hanwha Life is that no further tanks were locked in the second round, so the Jhin does have more teamfight identity, and if it ended up being 2 more tanks for MVP.
The real problem, though, is the fact that MVP can kill the Jhin from basically wherever he sets up his curtain call, given the fact that Cannon Barrage can come down on top of him, plus then Ian with his ultimate can just rain arcane destruction on top of the Jhin.
A lot of ways to interrupt is what you're telling me about this Jhin ultimate, damage, and also the pillar. Are good ways to interrupt that ability.
Even a True Shot Barrage. MVP have a lot of very long-range options here themselves, but Hanwha Life, they've also got those, and a lot of teamfight wombo to come in from the Azir and the Vladimir.
Could be priority top and bot side for Skarner to jungle around, and Song1 coming off a Game 1 MVP on the Skarner. This time the lanes aren't as kind as Game number 1, where they had the Camille Rise CC in top and mid. Gonna be more creative. It's gonna be a pre-level 6 play. Maybe that means MVP will get enough time to go along, but they've gone the scaling option in top with this Gangplank. Couldn't get the scaling done in game number 1. Game decided before that. Will they have more time in game number 2 before the game is truly in the balance?
Well, looking at the lanes, especially top and bot lane, it's going to be a little bit difficult for MVP to really get out to a decent lead. Last time around, we actually liked the lanes from them in levels 1 through 6, like you were talking about. And now it feels like only that mid lane with the winning matchup for MVP.
And even that's a little bit of time needed, some levels to get the Xerath going.
Well, we'll see whether they can actually get this one going as Hanwha Life. The early game is where it's at for them most of the time. Let's get into game 2. Gets me every time. Just brilliant. Speaking of brilliant, support fans here in the audience at Seoul Stadium.
That's a Dongjun fan, I believe, as well. Our Korean caster who actually modeled the pink Taric, or the, I should say, pool party Taric for Riot Games.
Cloud Templar also pretty damn good at modeling that Taric.
They know what they like.
Mm-hmm. Certainly do.
Here is Skarner, rushed and put down a ward, and then going back for the sweeping trinket here. Ghost Borrow, actually, for Jin, as you can see.
Yeah.
If he can sneak it in there, that's going to be even more AD, and he's gone Hail of Blades. So Songyun's all about dominating this 2v2.
Yep. The Teddy one that we saw be victorious most recently was the Fleet Footwork, but Hail of Blades has been the last two Jins, including this one that we've seen here in the LCK.
Reminder that Hail of Blades, if you feel like you can walk up an auto, is a lot of power. If you can't, then usually worth going for something like the Fleet Footwork for a bit more sustain and safety. If MVP start winning, the auto attack's going to be few and far between with all the range damage they can chunk out Songyun with. No stain from this build, so that's going to be a potential issue if he gets chunked out on a fight.
Yep. And just recently we saw this matchup. Vladimir is able to come out on top. ADD will see whether he can navigate it okay. Does have the keystone of choice to go into difficult matchups here in the Grasp of the Undying. Will mean that it'll put behind his build just a little bit, but should keep him relatively safe here in this lane, as he has managed to hit level 2 first as well, which is certainly good news for the Gangplank.
But for our long-term viewers, remember a lot has changed since we had our Vladimir as a counter pick to Gangplank top meta. No longer do you go on Spellbook on the Vladimir, so you can't take Ignite, and you would usually hold Ignite and only switch to Teleport maybe once in a game, maybe no times, because you were focused on the split push and killing the Gangplank. Gangplank has Resolve Tree as an option now, so it is hard to take down, and Chrysalis is another rune that's been rolled in. So for multiple different ways, you can definitely build up a CS lead against the GP, but just like the Gnar matchup started to lose, I think GP does much more comfortably in the Vladimir matchup than that season, spring season calculation that you did, and maybe a struggle. Maybe ADD can get his farm on very aptly in the top lane.
Yeah, it takes some finesse for that Vladimir lane to have been won. Earlier on, it was yesterday.
It was about a 10 CS lead, though. It wasn't any solo kills. So at the end of the day, GP gets through lane, 10 CS down. Doesn't really matter if it's Klepto or not. You feel pretty good.
Yeah. All right, well, Hanwha Life just going to be trying to navigate their way through these lanes so far, trying to keep themselves safe against Yondu's Trundle. Be roaming around. We're looking at Ian, though. I feel like MVP, the fans often get behind Ian. He's very popular here in Korea. They're going to need to here this game, given the fact that he's the only one with very much agency given to him here in this laning phase. So he's already able to utilize his range advantage against Lava. We'll need to start building up that mana, though. It's a little bit difficult to poke out the Azir in the very early game, like you were talking about earlier.
The old analysis, back when you and I were casting this matchup in China, 2015 spring LPL, was about Morellonomicon, was where the matchup changed with Azir. Morellonomicon into a needless large rod. Nowadays, can be a bit earlier. Lost Chapter is much more bang for your buck these days. Not as cheap, not as valuable, but you get so much when you finish the item, as it's added CDR and other effects. Not 900 gold anymore, RIP, but
yeah.
Lost Chapter, closer to level 7, level 9, and 5 points in your queue is when the poke really does start to hurt on the Xerath.
Well, right now, Lava is certainly navigating this matchup very nicely. We know that Tempt is also pretty happy to blind pick this Azir as Yondu. Going to try and help out ADD. See Linderung just happily throwing little blood globules at the top outer turret. This is why this Vladimir was picked up, and Yondu decides there's nothing he can do. And that's going to mean the key. He can feel free to eat Sanyun over the wall.
Let it here.
Okay. 2 versus 3 with Dragon here theoretically playing on MVP's side. Captive Audience is going to come in as MVP looking to try and fight this. Yondu's going to turn up flashes from everywhere, and First Blood is going to go to Ian. Going to be Dragon going down for Hanwha Life. It's an Ocean Drake in the early game, that's great, but losing your Skarner for just that, is it worth it?
Pretty telegraphed play, all things considered, from Hanwha Life. They took an early Drake game number 1 as well. They give up both summoners. Both flashes taken on Songyun as well. And Key, their flashes are down. So My argument is no, Atlas. I think it's far too much index for the Ocean Drake. The Ocean Drake is nice. We know about its validity, but that is a very big sacrifice. It just was too obvious about the timings there for Pilot and Max to come and contest.
Also the fact that they watched Pilot and Max come over to contest and stayed on that Dragon as well instead of pulling off and potentially going for a man advantage battle. Hindsight is 2020, of course, as Teleport is going to come in from Sangyun to get himself back into this lane as Max Unbreakable's up. Be off cooldown relatively soon as we see whether any aggression is going to come in here from Hanwha now that a BF sword has been picked up by the Jin.
At least the timing was around the BF sword timing for Sangyun, so he still gets a good purchase, gets back to lane, regardless of the summoners being down. See if Trundle can capitalize on this, because if he sneaks down, that pillar is certainly death onto the Tahm Kench.
Not to mention the fact that MVP might even be able to just take this 2v2 as... Okay, Sangyun is going to miss the W. That is good news. Pilot does need to be a little bit careful with his health bar.
Watching Songwon on the top side, perilously close to level 6. Should have it off his next camp. No camps up on the top side of the map. Doesn't want to actually show onto the Spire or onto anything else. There's around. Still hasn't shown his position. Only now.
Actually wants to play relatively aggressively here against the Trundle. Happy to take the fight potentially if he was around the area. He's not. He's bottom side. We know that, but Songwon, of course, didn't.
To make this matchup work, we saw our only top lane Vladimir into GP go a lot into CDR, so a Kindle Gem, not necessarily turning into a fast Protobell, but Kindle Gem, any source of CDR to be able to just win the Q trade war. And GP, obviously, with the Resolve tree, has some stain on his Q as well.
Yep. Going for an early Spectre's Cowl was something that we saw as an adaptation option as well yesterday. A few schools of thought, play defensively, and talking about build flexibility, Gangplank certainly is there, makes use of a whole bunch of different items here in League of Legends.
Both of them pretty adept at putting together item builds. They don't necessarily have to go down the normal lines of top laners, the Vladimir and this Gangplank. Small CS lead for Vladimir. Probably stay around this 10 to 20 mark. Not going to get any assistance anytime soon, though.
Linderung also playing for lane pretty heavily with his keystone choices as well, given Summoner Airy instead of something like a Predator for team fights or the Electrocute for burst damage. A little bit more for capitalizing on ganks. This one, a little bit more for, I want to stay in the lane forever and you can't touch me.
We definitely start our side bets around Azir versus Xerath matchups for how long those outer turrets will stay up. Very, very common thing, where that can go up to 35, 40 minutes. I believe when we finally had it with BDD the other day, it was 28 to 30 minutes.
It's a pretty good clip, though. BDD's was able to play out very, very well on his Xerath. Got the team fights that he wanted to, as well as ADD. Eat some oranges here up towards the top side as matchup definitely bad, but ADD navigating it quite nicely here.
One item power spikes are going to be very powerful for Hanwha Life. National's Tooth and also Storm Razor onto the Jin are a bit more of a sheer one item power spike than perhaps MVP could match. Songwon's mid lane, it really is
going to get flashes traded here as they do Abyssal Voyage and commit a hell of a lot to the mid lane, but once again, that is another very telegraphed play because they did it in game one.
And it's a lower percentage one because they don't have Rift Herald, because Rift Herald hasn't even spawned yet. So just trying to make a map play here, trying to punish and remove Ian's turret. It worked a trick on his Orianna. Won't happen this time, but no real harm, no real foul. Sangyun gets back, so they don't really lose much making the play.
Yep, they're just going to trade those flashes, and Sangyun is going to get back to this full minion wave like you were talking about. And Ian's flash might actually be more important for this because the movement speed available from Songwon, if you can avoid the shocking orb coming in from Ian, will mean that that is almost a guaranteed kill. They can get under that turret and pull him out with the Impale.
Definitely, trades. You take Skarner's Flash for the Xeraths. To have threat on a Xerath is always tricky. Yondu shows top side. There's a ward, as we noticed, that spotted him out.
Yep, Skarner actually considering going back. There's vision available here. Just having a look at what Hanwha could see. Noting that Yondu was in full vision, like you say. Linderung not going to push too hard. Doesn't necessarily have the lead that he really wants here in this counter matchup in inverted commas, like you were talking about.
It's a pressure matchup, right? It's a priority matchup for the Vladimir, but counter matchup, to me, usually talks about kill pressure. Not a lot of lanes in League of Legends these days have kill pressure, should be worth mentioning. Gone are the Ribbon days, sadly, into GP.
Yeah.
Only person we saw that do that was Khan in spring season. Got a pentakill in that game.
He did.
But no one has returned to the Riven, so we end up with more games like this where priority, which is still very, very valuable at the LCK level, gets them, in this case, a lot of jungle time, a lot of jungle vision on the top side, but all that vision allows for ADD to farm relatively safely.
Well, Lava also farming extraordinarily safely. He's got himself 106 CS in comparison to the 93 as he just shifts some sands to get out of the way of MVP's Yondu, who is poking his head around. Does need to be careful of these Kano pulses that are starting to stack up. Now level 9 has been hit, that's 5 points, and that means it's a big chunk. Despite items coming in from Ian being a little bit slower.
Welcome, Seraph.
Yeah.
Now doing real damage onto Lava. Control vision was huge lead to MVP. They had 4 control wards down just a moment ago. First one put down by Songwon, contesting this pixel brush was the Drake, the Infernal Drake that has spawned, of course. The Ocean, as we know, was the only flare point in this game, much earlier, around the 5-minute mark, so that is the respawn. Hanwha Life have already had Songyun chunked out and don't actually have a honey fruit here to pick up, so taking the Drake, gonna be tricky.
Yeah. Certainly do have soul vision of the area, though. Finally, some honey fruit does spawn. He can just gobble up the Jhin, spit him out mid-blast cone, which was pretty confusing as far as animations were concerned, but certainly was effective.
Back to the farming for Songyun. Summoner spells being changed by Key. Takes Ghost. He can go back, Ghost back to lane if he wants to continue to exchange, but he'll hold on to it for this moment.
See Pilot actually going for a little bit of a change up to what Songyun was doing in game number 1. It's not going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet. He wants the Trinity Force. A little bit of a bigger power spike with those 2 items. But like you say, Storm Razor done. Songyun going to come back. He's pretty comfortable now. Okay, Ian gonna just stopwatch the ultimate as Songwon's gonna jump forward, gets the Impale, but that's a dead Azir already. Key, he's down there, managed to Abyssal Voyage in, but that's a 1-for-1, and you'll probably take that as MVP.
Unless Linderon can find a way to turret dive, I agree. I think MVP will enjoy the trade they were able to pick up. More resources used by Hanwha Life just to go 1-for-1. Upside AD hasn't shopped really at all, so there is always that worry that Linderon gets very frisky here if he hits level 11 first.
Taking 3 turret shots is probably bad news, as okay, wants to throw down the Hemo Plague, but doesn't have a lot of buttons remaining. Just pressuring ADD out of this turret, gets himself the Crimson Rush for a bunch of extra health back. But the Vladimir just using a pressure ultimate. I felt like if he had used it earlier and actually utilized the rest of his spells for the damage increase, that could have been a very different story, but Hanwha now trying to fight on the bottom side. They do manage to land the stun, but in comes Yondu, looking for the pillar, gets it onto Key, but not going to really be consequential at all to try and get themselves a kill, and flashes were back up.
Very low percentage play by Yondu. Either you start the Infernal with your double control ward and slowly solo it down, or you go to contest the Rift Herald, because unfortunately, the 2 summoners, the flashes were taken at that Drake at 5 minutes. They're obviously going to be up, and Tom Ken's very difficult to lock down. Unlikely to find anything, and it ends up just being a blue buff steal and the Rift Herald. Big tempo increase by Hanwha Life on the top side of the map.
Now you can see Yondu is trying to make up for it by grabbing this Infernal Drake. MVP are going to be cheating up there, and full information gleaned here by Hanwha Life. They are going to move up and take this Gromp. Seen this a lot more from a lot of our bottom lanes with 80 carries now back. Gold is going to be well and truly even. Dragon is going to be taken here by MVP, but I'll probably take a blue buff steal and Shelly in exchange for that one.
When you're listening to that term tempo, which probably doesn't mean a lot to a lot of our viewers, what we're saying is that at the time that a big objective was being taken, nothing was being taken at the bot side. Now when we see the anti-objective taken, it's after. A couple of camps have been taken, the jungle has been ruined, the gangplank has been threatened to be dived, and thus given up CS. More things are happening, and the game is being played at a faster, controlled pace by Hanwha Life, while MVP, happy footing around the bot side, looking for a gank that wasn't going to happen, meant the tempo is on the side of Hanwha Life and not on the side of MVP.
Yeah, and that's going to mean a 20 CS lead in the mid lane, close to a 30 CS lead on the top side of the map here as well for Linderon, who's got so much pressure on ADD. He hasn't had a great time this series, has our MVP top laner. Welcome back to the top lane, my friend. It's rough and wild when you're a member of MVP. You get a lot of help by Yondu most of the time. Now Linderung going to continue putting this one on. But only half the health bar has been taken away from the turret, so ADD just sitting under here as the old Nutcracker gangplank.
And just queuing anything that moves. Is Linderung, he'd prefer champions, but he'll take whatever he can get. Slowly chipping down that turret. A Rift Herald charge would kill it. Is it worth wasting the Rift Herald? Your first thought is no. He's bot side here, but Lava's the interesting one.
Yeah, Missile Voyage is actually going to come in to start this one off, as there's a fantastic ult to come in from Max. Lava not going to use his. They do manage to get the flash out of Pilot, and it's probably worth it unless MVP can get some real damage on this turret.
Lava would have needed his flash to actually get the Shreema Shuffle to send back the Ezreal. Doesn't have it, so won't bother investing it. It's a good roam timing as well, because no answering objective for MVP to take around the mid lane. Rift Herald was already taken by Hanwha Live, so they're not ceding any objectives, making this play. They get some free autos in, and Pilot's still very low on health.
They're able to threaten this one so incredibly well because Pilot's health bar, like you say, was so low. Okay, Songyun getting a bit frisky, but Yondu is here. Gonna make it a 3 versus 3. Zeal is now picked up as well here by the AD carry Hanwha Live Esports. 3-item power spike that will be even better when we get to patch 8.15 is still incredibly strong on the Jhin. Still looking for that Infinity Edge to finish that one off, but once the Rapid Fire Cannon's done and this Stormrazor is fully charged, it's going to be pretty good. The Shelly's going to get chucked down in the mid lane. We'll see whether Hanwha Live can actually crush this one through, as Ian doesn't really want to move over too far, but does get a lot of damage onto Lava, meaning that Shelly probably should get eradicated on this push through.
Pretty curious that they were willing to chunk out the mid lane turret over guaranteeing top lane turret being taken instantly with one charge. They weren't in position to actually force down the turret, and that means no standing gold has been claimed. No first brick has been claimed. Would have been a big load of gold. For Linderung, for example, on the top lane, if they'd used it, I'm not sure about softening up the mid lane turret, but if it means we don't have a 35-minute Xerath turret up, I guess maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head, right? It's the Xerath turret, so you want to try and give yourself as many options to try and take that one down as possible. Maybe they thought that Shelly was the only thing that would ever be able to penetrate the long-range wave clear of the Xerath. All I can surmise. I completely understand wanting to snowball the game a little bit faster, gain that tempo advantage that you were talking about before.
Definitely would have loved to hear the comms, and if that's the reason, because it's Xerath, like if it's really responding to just how overwhelming his suite of wave clear is, and this is the only way we're ever going to chunk it out, I don't mind it. They do get solo gold onto Azir in the mid lane, so
that's great news.
Hindsight bias, it looks like an amazing play, but could have lost a lot making that if they couldn't have returned to it. Now it's a very short lane for Ian as the Sun turret is down.
Plague is going to come in, but that's mostly pressure from ADD. It's nicely done as wants the Crimson Rush, but will just tank 2 turret shots. Now Linderung is in trouble. Does have Flash available, of course, as he's charging up for another big life drain with the transfusion that's Crimson Rush empowered, but Hanwha Life, they've got other ideas. Moving down towards the bottom side. Flash still available for Songwon as there's the scoop as Max is going to go Golden Key with the Devour is good as he gets out of the range of the ultimate from Ian. They do manage to get their second turret, but thankfully for MVP, they're unable to be able to pick up the kill. True shot barrage. Key's going to get hit by it as Lava shifts the sands to get out. Now Key very early on the Grey health has to flash to avoid getting stunned. Immediately cleanses as well and is going to keep himself alive. The flash from Ian is going to take the Tom. Kenshin Songwon now out of position as well. Lava very, very low as Songyun sets himself up. And this could be the curtain call on MVP. Max set up as well as now a teleport's coming through. Songyun is so incredibly healthy as Max is stunned, and now Linderung looks down the barrel of a Hemo Plague that he doesn't have, but a lot of damage that is available. Songyun's going to need to be in here as ADD down as well. The Vladimir is going to fall, but can Songyun hard carry? Gets the triple kill as now Lava has to run away, and is it worth it? Papa Smithy after it's all said and done.
A 4 for 4, all things considered. Looked like Linderung will get a casual triple kill, but no Hemo Plague and no vision means he's unable to clean up like he would have expected. AD gets a lot of gold on the back end. Let's watch the replay and fully understand this. Ian really wants this opening kill on Key. That's why he flashes. No skill shot to be dodged there. The moment that the curtain call was opened and Songyun had safety, you assume this was GG. Everything going to be taken by Hanwha Live, but it doesn't quite go as first expected.
Certainly doesn't. This teleport coming in, oh man, if that fight hadn't happened top side of the map, Linderung would have been feeling so much better, but ADD coming down really saved this for MVP to even out what could have been a catastrophic failure here.
No Predator on the Vladimir, the Summoner Airy for lane. If he had Predator, would have gotten there much quicker. It was a much later teleport from ADD, but ADD in, again, a matchup that was picked to crush him in lane. Maybe down in CS, but has a lot of items. A bit of everything going on here in the build. So at 202 GP, he's definitely ahead in gold compared to Linderung.
As his Trinity Force and Execution is calling, that's about the highest standard you can get to here in the lane against the Vladimir that just wants to try and sustain. Even now with the Merc Treads going to have some magic resist. So this Morellonomicon not going to be helping. Linderung also building for lane just a little bit with the Morellonomicon coming in second. Songwon going to be able to take the second dragon here for Hanwha Life, most likely, as Max, captive audience, going to spot him out. Not going to be able to get any vision over, and Cloud Drake goes over to Hanwha, but most valuable Drake over on the side of MVP, which certainly sounds like their namesake is working out for them there. Sangyun got a bunch of items though, Papa. This is what we've got to look at for Hanwha. The Jin is going to be such a huge damage source in the late game, and Sangyun now 4-1-0 after getting all of the kills bottom lane.
And as we discussed in Champion Select, they didn't go and index super high on tanks. Braum is still very strong, and Trundle are two frontliners that the Jin won't have too much threat on. But the good news for the side of the Jin is that Azir poke damage and also just a hard commit from Vladimir can get those health bars low enough that soon-to-be Infinity Edge Jin is ready to capitalize on. And if he gets free space, if Vladimir can be this Malphite-esque champion of just diving in the backline and forcing everyone into disarray, if auto-attack-based Hail of Blades Jin starts free hitting and then opening up with the ult, good news stories abound for Hanwha Life.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Plus, when he finally builds his Swifty boots, which is normally a rush for the Jin, he's going to have a better time avoiding all of that arcane damage coming in from Ian as well, with his huge amount of skill shots that the Jin will need to be dancing around. Hanwha Life, though, going to be utilizing this pressure advantage that they have to move their vision forward and try and challenge inner turrets as ADD. Ultimate's going to be traded here as I wonder who's going to win now as Hemoblade comes down. Linderung looks for the auto, gets the last one. That's the 1v1, but it was close by ADD in the end.
Nice outplay, but here's the dive also that he's going to try and get Ian off. He's going to hit every shot he does. Very nice accuracy.
There's the flash, and he's going to be impaled, taken down as Sangyun gets his fifth. They'll take an inner turret as well, and we wanted tempo plays. Good God, Hanwha. This is one hell of a tempo play. No teleport from Linderung, but Hanwha Life Esports could look towards a Baron.
Ian got dunked by Sangyun and Songwon there. All the shots hitting and allowing Songwon to flash in for the kill. Ian too far up with no heal and no flash for any sort of reposition. Baron buff, pretty hard to take here. It's Jin, so we will not see the Baron go down. A sustain heal comes through from Key, who would swap through his summoners.
Felt like he might have needed that flash a little bit earlier, because that is what's going to be recharging now. So heal clamp's not exactly the safest option when you want to be moving Lava and Sangyun into the right positions in team fights. It's largely going to be his job here this game. Could be able to sneak their way up though, understanding back timings, but those are back timings that you don't want to feel good about, because Sangyun now has an Infinity Edge. We're very close to avoid stuff coming in from Linderung, and yeah, that wall does make a lot of sense, Pop, because 24 minutes, 3-item Jin, it's a pretty good timing window here for Sangyun.
And definitely, you don't often see more items than an Ezreal, especially high-tier items compared to an Ezreal. You've got the NA Ezreal going on over here, and the KR Jin is looking pretty fearsome.
Oh, damn right he is. This is the Teddy version of the Jin this time around. Very, very scary. But they still have to win the game. MVP pretty good at orchestrating themselves some Barons, and that's where Hanwha are at the moment with Soul Vision. That line of control wards is stunning, but you can see being able to grab that Rift Scuttler is really able to give MVP a lot of knowledge. Not sitting on any blue trinkets whatsoever, but the vision isn't quite deep enough for Hanwha to feel like they can go for an easy Baron, as Max takes about 1 trillion damage there, and Unbreakable could just be the end of his life. Yep, Sangyun just skipping around this fight. Yondu as well. He seems squishy on this one as Songwon gets a True Shot Barrage to the face, but Ian has to back away as well, and This is what happens when the Jin gets 3 items. He walks at you, and it doesn't matter who you are. You just basically die.
Songyun reminds me of Teddy's Jin, but that was with an Orianna for movement speed. He doesn't need anyone else's help.
He doesn't even need Swifties yet. He's got brown bags, for goodness sake.
He's got an Infinity Edge. This man knows how to build. Teleport's going to be cancelled. Vladimir not feeling the aggressive play onto MVP. And again, we mentioned that Jin is good at most things. Baron taking, not so good.
Well, when you get a bunch of items like this, I feel you could be almost anyone. You know, Disco Nunu, if he's got 6 Bloodthirsters, does a lot of auto attack damage, you know?
And think of the healer.
I know. Amazing. And the secure with the consume.
Wouldn't the 6th item being Spirit Visage be better? Because he has the Q as well.
Where's the AD on a Spirit Visage? Probably
But the healing.
talk about healing.
But if you're a Disco Nunu, you want to put on a show.
I'm also talking about a lot of patches ago, Bloodthirster as well as key. Going to move Songyun out of the way. He got a little bit too frisky going 1 versus 4. Yeah, back when Bloodthirster used to stack as well, but with the ultra amounts of ADs, Linderung's going to steal away a Red Buff.
I'm just saying, if you're Disco Nunu, you have to dance. You have to use the Disco Ball, so you'd want some sustain.
All right, fair enough.
Not much sustain for this Baron, but MVP are here again.
Yep.
Oh, Songwon's
sustained
in trouble.
damage. Yeah, Songwon is going to have to try and get himself out of here, but he's not going to be able to. No flash in there as Key's going to eat himself a Rift Scuttler. It is going to get taken as Yondu takes a lot of auto attack damage here from Songyun, but MVP now with no jungler on the other side of the map. They have an opportunity to get some vision back here for themselves. Only 3,000 gold is the lead here for Hanwha. A very different game than that of game number 1.
And if you see a usual game where we had this Vladimir split pushing and bot side walking up towards Baron, you think, Predator into gank. Remember, no Predator. He also hasn't gone for the Spellbinder build. He's actually a very honest Vladimir. He's slow.
Yeah.
He's going to take a long time to get in position, may never get in position. So AD's ultimate will hit the fight instantly. The Vladimir will take forever. Another reason why this Baron is a little bit tricky for Hanwha Live. Kind of a similar scenario that they find themselves in the previous game where they were ahead, but we were saying, can they close? You know, are they actually going to be able to fully benefit from their lead? We're still not sure, but so far so good for Hanwha Live.
Yep, Songyun able to get himself back in position. This Tahm Kench, fantastic. Paired up with the Jin, who can find himself a little bit immobile. Some circumstances. And some poke here as well, as Yondu spent most of his life in this mid to late game on about half health. Having to eat a lot of poke if he's going to walk towards anyone and be threatening at all.
Things to recall, Until Spellbook is here on both supports. Exhaust Smite, amusingly. What Max is rocking at the moment.
Lava doing his best Songwon impression, waiting in that brush, but there's the curtain call as Yondu going to take a lot of damage, but thankfully Ian, he's got the counter ultimate to come through. Is it going to be enough, however, because Lava, he's searching. He wants to shuffle on Linderung with a great flank position. Okay, Hemo Plague onto 3 members, not going to get a right explosion, but there it is. The pop is going to pick up the Braum. Now Hanwha Live Esports moving themselves back. They don't have to worry about Cannon Barrage as well, as that was a bit of a doozy from ADD on the bottom side of the map.
Really like the spot that they put down the Azir turret as well. Makes it so there's a lot of respect needed for this inhibitor turret going down in the bot lane at the same time. As a Baron play is happening, here comes Lava.
Yep, Lava looking for another one. Abyssal Voyage going to come through as Songwon is going to turn up with that one, but now moving back to the Baron feels a little bit more dangerous because they invested so much of their health bars. And once again, MVP, they're going to be saved from another Baron fight.
But next time, the flashes will not be there on the side of MVP. Yondu, Ian, Pilot, Max, all of their flashes are down. Only ADD in the side lane has a summoner. That's when Lava, with a flash advantage, should be looking for that big Emperor's Divide.
Yeah, on the other side of the map, it's only Linderung that had to use his flash there at all. Songyun going to reload his gun, and the Cloud Drake doesn't last very long here against the Jin. Will be the 3rd Drake here for Hanwha Life as well, so they'll be threatening the Elder Drake as we move into the later stages. And having double Cloud, you can't stress this enough, against a Xerath is extraordinarily good news.
The dancing shoes are a lot more reliable. Bloodthirst are going to be the pickup from Songyun here, and doesn't really need a Merc Scimitar this game, so can actually find some sustain in his build. And it helps the Vladimir, who's going to be looking for a flank. Doesn't have a lot of movement speed to do it. Probably will be Death Cap next, probably not the Spellbinder, depending on gold values. Eventually, Linderung loses these trades, as you can see.
Yeah, and that is certainly now, as Ghostblade is going to be invested. It's going to trade it for a Proto Belt, as Linderung says, all right, well, I guess I don't win. And he's probably going to try and look for a teleport flank, as ADD, understanding that he has a lot of control. This could be a power shift for MVP.
Elder is the next Drake that's spawning. Remember that Hanwha Live got that Baron with a very creative two-man Baron taking game at number 1.
Wow, Songyun playing with his life just a little bit as Key. He's going to spit him out, but ADD takes so much damage from that 4th bullet. Cannon Barrage comes in as now Lava threatens. There's the scoop onto 2 members. Max once again going to be the first target eliminated. No door to get behind as in comes Linderung. Pilot, you can't cleanse that. The pop comes in. Not quite enough as Abyssal Voyage is going to get cancelled. ADD taken out. Triple kill for Songyun. They only lose the Azir, and Hanwha should now be able to take the Baron.
MVP pushing up too far with all those summoners down. Like we mentioned, it was ripe for Lava to find the engage. They got the engage. They turn on Baron. Can Xerath alone find a way to stop this Baron?
Yeah, can anyone stop Songyun as well? He's 8-1-1 on this Jhin. He's gonna flash on Ian and almost two-shots him as Key just licks him to death at the end. Songyun, look at this movement speed as Pilot. Ain't nothing you can do now. This is what we saw from Teddy. It happens again from Hanwha Live. Songyun on the bottom side. 10-1-1. Have yourself a Baron, and Hanwha Live set up to win the game.
The only thing we didn't see was those AD values. 802, the biggest we saw there. It was going to be bigger when the Hail of Blades was enabled. Turn onto the structures. They got a Baron with the Jhin, and now even the Siege is manageable for Hanwha Live.
Yep, I got it wrong as well. 9-1-2 because the pesky Tahm Kench stole away one of those last 2 kills. But they're going to grab themselves that inner turret very quickly before the backs even come in. Songyun, he's got a Bloodthirster that he wants to pick up as well.
Oh, he's got a thirst for blood that only he can sate himself. He doesn't need any help. 9-1-2 Jhin. Watching the replay here. It all starts pretty normally, but remember MVP are going all in with no flashes, and where is Azir? Is pressing a question as where is Tal on the AP cannon yesterday?
And where is the Vladimir as well? It's the double flanks.
The fish in the barrel at the start isn't the big takeaway for Songyun. That was much later, but they can use all their ultimates to take closest target down. There's no threat onto Songyun anymore. They got the kills at the start. Lava goes down. It was even more dirty when he started getting free orders later. 919 AD at the moment. 6,000 damage in the last fight.
And everyone else doing relatively comparable damage as well. However, when your AD carry does quadruple that of the opponent, you know you're probably going to win the fight. 9-1-2, Bloodthirster in hand, another BF sword there, and he is so extraordinarily far ahead, he could almost win this game by himself. Sun turret set up in the mid lane. It's a very small ARAM with one very fed member of the opposing side if you're an MVP fan.
He has 673 AD before any of the calculations start.
935,
I know.
Good God.
We've seen over 1,000 already at LCK level. That was, of course, Teddy in one of his previous games. We'll watch the numbers. Thanks, Jhin. Just keep it on the Jhin.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Linderung, we're going to have a check-in on him because he's split pushing bottom side, and ADD, yes, able to win the 1v1, but it's definitely far away from a 1v1 situation now as Songyun is just so much of a problem. He'll kill this inhibitor in 3 shots as Key waiting in the wings with that Devour every single time. Nerf not to come through just yet on that cooldown as we are going to start the fight. It's a 3-man scoop though as everyone's on top of the Jhin, ready to get shot down. Lava sacrifices himself and Linderung launches into the backline. Songyun not able to get free autos here as he's trying to run forward. Steric's cage popped and he's actually going to get gobbled up by Key before he can really do anything. Curtain call now, but there's a fountain for MVP to move back to. Hanwha don't find the exact team fight they're looking for, but at least they break open the base of MVP.
Azir got nuked, and that's a big problem. He's a consistent damage when Lava's not there. It's a bit more of a struggle. They're still trying to push in, though. They want these turrets.
Yep, Songyun really needs to try and find the team fight that he's actually looking for here. Needs to get the auto attacks. Remember, relatively short range. Here's the Jhin unless you're pressing your abilities. But he wants to try and find these autos. Pilot, see how much damage potential he has. Songyun now open Nexus. The Nexus turrets were taken before MVP were even team fought really at all. It's the Xerath that's able to get the work done, but what is this damage from Songyun? Wasn't even him that finished off the Nexus and Hanwha. In the end, it's a 2-0 despite the team fight not necessarily being found.
Sometimes the Jhin makes it all about him. Jhin counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and that was for a quadra kill, not just his passive. Very nicely done by Songyun. Very nicely done by Hanwha Live. A 2-0 is such a big scoreline, given they have those aspirations for top 5. Our FLICKR Freaks are in the driver's seat still, but this does heap pressure onto SKT. We knew that SKT today wanted to see Hanwha Life lose. Hanwha Life themselves want to actually gatekeep SKT out of the Worlds qualifier. And if they keep winning 2-0, it's a very real possibility.
Yeah, if they get themselves to that 5th place, it gets much more difficult for SKT to make any sort of run towards Worlds qualification. They have to get through a FLICKR Freaks and MVP. Not exactly the same opposition as in a FLICKR Freaks that have found some form, finding victory yesterday over SKT, who were on a 4-match winning streak. So a very different story now.
No one is eliminated at the top or the bottom of the table. That's the important takeaway here. If you're waving goodbye to SKT like you did a month ago, they still are in with a shout. But Hanwha Life winning starts to muddy the waters a little bit. Maybe 11 match wins will be the new requirement for that 5th spot. Right now, FLICKR and Hanwha Life are at 9. After that victory, Coach Emperor in the middle will be proud of his charges today. This is a lot more of a reliable performance from a Hanwha Life, who have been up and down in recent memory. Sadly for MVP, they've only been down. That's actually 6 matches in a row that MVP have lost, some of them with ADD, some of them without. Right now, it feels like Jinna are actually in the driver's seat to avoid relegations, and MVP might have a relegation battle to play in a couple of months.
And Jinna also have the really fun time of being able to play spoiler, as our next match that is coming up tonight is Jinna versus KT. But before that, let's have a look back at this game. The damage done by the Jin, close to 40,000. And when you see an Ezreal doing half the damage of his lane opponent, that's when you know the game went pretty horribly wrong.
Jin doesn't get to play double or nothing with Ezreal very often, but it happened this time. Congratulations, Songyun. You won the MVP here. I don't even need to know. We don't even need the sick AR to
In fact, you
confirm it.
didn't even let me cast my vote. You just
No.
double-ticked it because you knew that there was no other real option here.
Are you saying it wasn't Songhwan this time?
Oh, hell no. I'm not saying that at all. MVP, as you can see, Songyun going to be brought up onto your screen. Gigantic 9-1-3 performance. Only 300 points of the season when I feel like Songyun has been a great performer here. For Hanwha Life, transitioning over to Awesome Dudes pretty effectively and then moving back into the AD carry role when he wants to play Ezreal for all of 12 games so far this season.
Never forget that celerity if you're going this Hail of Blades build, as it does give you the ability to calculate off all the movement speed from your passive and the Storm Razor as well. The
Only way to translate it, yep.
Ghost Power was not used so well this game, but you know what? When you get this many kills, Jin, it doesn't matter. Fed ADC wins games. Doesn't always work for Jin. There's definitely some team comps where he can't maximize his damage against, but he went the auto attack build on this Jin. They didn't stack tanks, and eventually his auto attacks, they were basically ultimates.
Yep, saw that 4th bullet. Songyun desperate for a reload and gets it here. And picking up these 4 kills in this fight was so important to pull Hanwha over the line. Look at this, hits all of the bullets. Now onto Ian, and then Songhwan says, well, I guess I'll just flash over this orb and kill you. This was the real beginning of the end for MVP in game number 2.
Felt like Key just had so much healing provided by Songyun. That passive on the Knight's Vow, giving you the lifesteal off damage dealt by your Oath Sworn, or whatever it's called. I think Oath Sworn is Callista, so I guess you're Sworn. He's a Knight after all.
Yep, Oath Sworn sounds really good for a Knight's Vow, though.
Well,
I like it.
It certainly worked out for Key. It worked out for Songyun. Doing lifesteal for friends, doing lifesteal for himself. Look at this, a Q auto almost killed Ian.
Oh, rip death by a touch. That would have been a very dead Xerath, no matter the flashes.
He's so fast also.
Exactly. You get that 4th bullet and you're booking it. As Pilot, know where he could go. Ezreal, not as slippery this time around, as Songyun picture is adorable.
I've only seen Prey pull off that particular facial expression, but Songyun, a really popular face around the LCK. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Hanwha Life.
Exactly, Hanwha with the 2-0, and that means we're going to throw it over to Joel for the translation of the MVP.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translations, and we're here with Hanwha Life Esports, who looked spectacular in the way they won against MVP. Gonna talk with the MVPs of Hanwha Life. Different proposition there, but let's see what they have to say. Of course, you feel like you deserve that MVP, determined by your facial expression. I think I definitely did, playing so well. Ohana, obviously with Sangyun, you doing very well nowadays. I think it's there's something a little bit of a mishap in terms of me not receiving a lot more MVPs. All for game 2, you really went all out with that Jin. And how do you feel about your Jin? Obviously, you had great performances with that in past years. Obviously, now, do you feel like it's back to your own good status? I mean, you can't talk about peaks anymore. You gotta just bring it back when they feel like they've forgotten my Jin, and you gotta bring it back every once in a while. Hopefully, you know, bring it back when the next time does come. But very nice win for you guys, and obviously the way you guys took that home was the most important thing. And the macro, just all over, praise is coming all over, and it feels like it's been a lot more sturdy. That's some of the things that we tried to practice over, and some of the things that we kept putting our efforts and time and trying to make it better. And I feel like it really showed today, because I think all the efforts that we put in trying to improve on the macro game really showed today's performances. And you do see just wonderful things coming in for Hanwha Life, and with the Baron, that became a very important thing for you guys today. Obviously, it seems like just acting all over, and this is the Hollywood acting at its finest from Sangyun. I was trying to go for mid, and but you know, these guys were trying to take the Baron, thinking they were going to take it. And for the top lane, we thought that the very important phase where you guys did get that Cho'Gath in the top lane, going for that dive, and coming from the bottom and trying to get that all the way. Really, do you want to explain about that one? I mean, I was actually hoping that it would show that replay, but if I do, just trying to put out the aggro in, and I was trying to flash in as well, so actually just my finger was already on that the flash button before I even thought about it. I didn't even know that he flashed forward, but he told me later on. But you know, he just went to get that for the assist, so I wouldn't mind him. And do you feel like you had to be very aggressive today? And with Trundle, something that I was trying to use a lot, so I was trying to be aggressive with my champion picks today and trying to go with the initiates, and also the one that I can be in the front line trying to take all the damage, and so Skarner was definitely the pick for that one. And with the game 2 Jin from Sangyun was the important story, and we do have some plentiful of highlights that we can look at. And it feels like every time someone just tries to go for that ultimate, a kill does come that way, and a couple more that came through with that Jin ultimate. And do you feel like you have a lot more comfortable just running with the Jin? This game becomes really easy now. I mean, whenever, you know, if Lava fought with me, we would have gotten a clean sweep on that one, but he kind of backed off like a scaredy cat, so something I didn't appreciate from him there. But at the same time, we were trying to go for trades, and I feel like Jin was always ahead. I feel like you would have been surprised by how much damage you were putting out at later parts. I mean, if it's Jin from Sangyun, I'm not surprised at all, and it just comes naturally for me now. And for that Jin, and obviously the attack power is going to be the important thing, but very much the movement speed is another factor that we always have to count in for what is some of the, obviously the best boots, obviously with the movement speed kind of being a factor. What's kind of the best opinion on that one? I always try to go with Fleet Footwork, obviously, and I'll try to go with that when I emphasize the movement speed. But when I want to go for the AD, I have to go for some of the runes that I went with today's game. And it feels like Hanwha Life was maybe onto a slump just a little bit for the recent weeks, and now you guys are now coming back and looking like a better team to move forward with this. And I feel like, yeah, there definitely was a slump, just a minor one in our run and something that we kind of kept our emotional just positivity in trying to come back from this one. It was definitely that we were trying to do that. Do you feel like Sang-yoon is the one that controls the mentality of the team, either goes for positive or negative? Do you feel like you're the head front for that one? I mean, for a team house, it's all about just trying to go with the flow and trying to go with what we're constantly used to. So we're not trying to change up any moves or anything like that. I mean, you were trying to talk about other teams upstairs, but I have no idea what you're talking about. I actually didn't know, but it's something that happened way up there, so it's a very different proposition there. Still showing very good friendship and very good teamwork in and out of the game, and something that has been emphasized throughout Hanwha Life all throughout the season. Do you feel like now with Sang-yoon, you have to help control Sang-yoon's mentality? Is always going to be an important feat for. Obviously, you need a mentality to look at yourself on that one picture over there, but with Sang-yoon, you do have your father who's in the interview at the same time, so it looks very much like Sang-yoon, so like father, like son. And do you want to say anything like to him? I think the main character was actually my father, not me. And it's really funny, so and I feel like I was kind of led to his entertainment values, and I feel like if I didn't get him in the interview, he would have been completely sad about that. So I'm actually glad that he came on the interview. I think he really proved his worth there. So great synergy coming in from the father and the son. And that last scene was really important because it felt as if you guys were having a hard time conditionally. Maybe you were having a hard time in the form. Whenever he goes all out on the trying to get the kills and trying to get all the damage out, something that our coaching staff always emphasizes on. So we were trying to keep that in mind today for today's games as well. And all that put together means that a good result coming out for Hanwha Life, as we've seen in the past, is kind of showing again in the present. But now you have multiple very important games still ahead in your run, trying to get to as top of the position as you can. Anything you want to say to that? We do have a couple of games left, and we're going to try to keep consistent and trying to get the best results as we can. And trying to get to playoffs is going to be our objective. Thank you very much. Sang-yoon, anything I'd say? The weather is extremely hot, and thank you guys for coming out, but we hope you guys stay healthy and stay entertained by our games that we can put out. And hopefully consecutive wins for Hanwha Life means their playoff dreams stay alive. But for the time being, they're going to be feeling good about their win today, and hopefully it can prolong into a better future for these guys. But that's going to be the end of the interview, and send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. And I want to sign an agreement right now that just says we get Sang-yoon every time Hanwha Life Esports wins, because he is probably one of the best interviews in the LCK.
Honestly, though, I think he'll only care about one interview, Atlas, because on Sunday, it will be a FLICKR Freaks versus Hanwha Life.
Yeah.
Basically for that 5th place spot. The remaining game for Hanwha is more difficult than KT's. KT have MVP. Hanwha Life have to actually face KT Rolster on the last day.
They do.
So they may lose that, but if they beat a FLICKR Freaks, they actually would have 2-0 to FLICKR and own the head-to-head, and thus the game score question comes up. So we could have a really interesting last match of the season where theoretically 5th spot and 1st spot may be on the line at the same time in the final match of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, it's just that game score that is there between Hanwha and FLICKR, yet to play each other, but Hanwha won the first game, meaning that they have the 5th spot right now. FLICKR Freaks, if they manage to take the game against Hanwha, they're going to move forward. However, talking about tied on game score, now our next series of the night, Jin versus KT. KT have an opportunity to tie that game score with a winning head-to-head and move to 1st place in the LCK.
Any victory for KT over Jin 2-1 or 2-0, they will be #1 at the end of today. Guys, it's going to be about 50 minutes, a bit of a long break here. We'll be back with KT versus Jin in 50 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right, guys. So go do whatever you want. Maybe watch a TV show, something like that, and after that, Jin versus KT. And who knows what's going to happen. We'll see you then.
accusation, but you're the criminal. No implication, you're unpredictable. Time to lose control. See you later on in the fast lane, yeah. You run the system, but you're invisible. You're on a mission to take the city on. Time to lose control. See you later on in the fast lane, yeah. I knew you were a bad man. Oh, I knew it. Don't try to hide it, you're a bad man. A bad man.
Coming up next, Jin Air Green Wings, KT Rolster, 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Split.